Hey guys, welcome back. So now at this point, getting back into Batman Superman, I wanted to talk a bit about the aftermath of the infected. And even at this point, what does the aftermath mean, because people are still infected? So instead, it's more like we're looking for the resolve of those who have been infected and the toll that Batman and Superman's secret has taken on the rest of the Justice League. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so going back to where Batman and Superman had stopped the Secret Six from bringing in the tower from the Dark Multiverse, this was one of those things that seemed like a win up until Batman and Superman got back to the Hall of Justice and they realized this was just a ploy for the Batman Who Laughs to escape, which also made it one of those things okay, they came to the point to where they're like, we can't just figure this out on our own, so now it's like they have to tell the others, of which they're most dreading giving this information to Wonder Woman, and essentially because they know she's gonna be mad, and for what they believe primarily on the basis of them keeping it a secret, but soon they'll find out it's a bit deeper than that. And initially, when Batman and Superman try to reach out to Diana, they don't get a response. And it's like they know nothing happened to her, but she's just not responding. So pretty much she's leaving them on red. But also at this point, for those of you who are caught up with our talks on Hell Arisen, it's here in Batman Superman where we see Commissioner Gordon, who's been taken into the Hall of Justice after everything that went down at the Fortress of Solitude. But it's here where Commissioner Gordon gives Batman and Superman this speech about prior to him being infected, while being the commissioner, he had plenty of men who died, some killed by the Joker, some by Mr. Freeze, and when this would happen, he would just go back to these people's families and just lie and say that their loved ones had some kind of heroic death, rather than telling them that these officers really died afraid. But he takes this and he flips it on Batman and Superman like, who have you been lying to? Which is a rhetorical question because it's pretty clear they've been lying to the entire league. But I'll even say for the time that they did, it was more so to the issue of them not knowing who was infected yet, and outside of themselves they didn't know who they could trust, which is a plan that didn't work, but in the beginning it seemed like it could have. So it's like, it's a great plan until it fails, which is essentially where they're at right now. So with them trying to get in touch with Wonder Woman, Batman and Superman literally had to scour the earth just to find her. And when they do, she is on a rampage, and with doing so fighting a bit harder and harsher than the usual. But when Batman and Superman arrive and the three of them are having this conversation, the news is spreading out to the rest of the league. But it's also here where Wonder Woman tells the two of them why she's so angry, and rightfully so with the way that this is taking effect with Donna Troy. Because if you guys remember back when we talked about Deathbringer, aka Donna Troy, I also talked about some of the history between her and Diana, which was loosely referenced in the Deathbringer issue, but going back and looking at it and seeing the history of Donna versus Diana, which then turned to Diana helping Donna, which really feels like even to this day that Diana feels a level of responsibility in the case of Donna's well-being. But while Diana's explaining this, and she's tearing these different creatures apart, but while she's explaining this, the expressions of Batman and Superman right now, right now, just pause the video and caption each of those expressions, because Superman's looking wait, did she just kill that thing? And as far as Batman, that just looks like the last thing on his mind right now. But essentially, after Wonder Woman is finished destroying all these different gargoyle-like creatures in the Coliseum, she then goes a step forward to tell Batman and Superman that they have broken their trust, and really, if anything is the Trinity, whatever challenge may come their way, they're supposed to be able to share this struggle with one another and get through it together. But in addition to that, prior to this point, Diana, she knew about Donna and what was going on with her, with Donna turning against the Titans, which eventually led Diana to know about the infected, and then on top of that, knowing that Batman and Superman already knew, but the two of them still chose to keep it secret, much like Batman during the Button, or even Superman with his encounter with Mxyzptlk. And ultimately she tells them they've become masters at deception, at lying to each other, and if not lying, just keeping each other out of circumstances that should have been handled together. But when Diana discovered more of what was going on and that Batman and Superman were keeping it to themselves as far as the infected, she lets them know that a lie is a lie, a secret's a secret, and exercising that deceit isn't much different than the different villains that they face and the lies that they may tell. But this essentially leads Batman and Superman to think about Diana's words separately, but even separately they both come to the same conclusion, because they both realize it's not really that hard to see that everything that Diana was saying was right. And I'll even say, personally, I get the gravity of what she's explaining, because in this specific instance, had Batman and Superman informed the rest of the league, or at least Diana, then things may have played out different. But in addition to that, and I guess in Batman and Superman's defense, like there are certain times in certain things or problems that may come up that there won't be enough time to rally everybody together because whatever issue or threat that there may be, that it just can't wait. But in a general sense, I do believe that she has a lot of right to what she's saying, but I don't believe that's the route for the end all be all. But not long after we find that Bruce and Clark, they meet up to what appears to be a crime alley to the entrance that they found for the Batcave of the Batman Who Laughs. But with seeing this, we also come to find out that Bruce is rebuilding and repurposing Crime Alley, and his reasoning for calling Clark here to see this really was to have a talk about what they're gonna do from here, with them both realizing that Wonder Woman was right. And with Superman suggesting that both of them would have no more secrets, Bruce was like, nah, we ain't finna take it that far. But instead, Bruce suggested that they adapt, and Bruce also had a plan on how to do so. Which makes a lot of sense, because I would have felt some type of way if Bruce would have just been like, yeah, no more secrets. And Clark would have just been like, Bruce, you're lying right now, I can see your heart. Because clearly that just wouldn't went well. But as it turns out, what we find out that Batman is doing with the Batcave of the Batman Who Laughs, it mainly starts with the archives which they had discovered that the Batman Who Laughs had of all the superheroes. And what Batman plans to do is take this similar approach towards every villain that the heroes face. But with doing so, also set it up in a way to every hero who faces their particular villains, they can add information into this database and all the heroes can access it as well. And with setting up a system like this, or a network for all the heroes to have access, so if anyone comes into contact with someone who they usually wouldn't, not only would they have more information to pull from, but they would also be informed on what their fellow League members are up to as well. And for Batman doing this with the Batman Who Laughs Batcave, hopefully this isn't something that bites him in the butt later on, with it being like the Batman Who Laughs Trojan horse kind of thing set up, but rather I would like for this to be an opportunity for Batman to get more information in addition to this on the Dark Multiverse. Because prior to this point, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say this like a million times, but prior to this point, this has been like the main advantage of the Batman Who Laughs, with him having so much knowledge of the Dark Multiverse and him finding a way for that to be his advantage in nearly every situation, with much of the tools at his disposal originating from the Dark Multiverse, which time and time again, event after event, have just left the heroes so many steps behind. And really, just depending on the way that Batman plays this, like this could be an end to all of that, or at least a much closer step for the heroes being more equipped or more informed the next time the Batman Who Laughs is up to something. But in the future, I can only imagine that this will more so help, especially with the additional information about the Dark Multiverse that we've seen from the Terrifics, to where if Mr. Terrific shared his findings from the Dark Multiverse with Batman, then possibly Bruce would find new information that he didn't already know. And it would likely show him that with keeping his own secrets, that perhaps he does need to open a level of communication to where, had Batman known more, to where the Batman Who Laughs miniseries or even Batman Superman Infected, that either of those events could have turned out a completely different way. But essentially, Batman sets this up, and now the heroes have a network so they can access more information and likely be available to assist one another. But also with this, we get the question from Superman, like how would this be any different from the past and what they've seen with OMAC? Because before, they pretty much tried this with Brother Eye, which eventually had control of its seeds from Maxwell Lord when he had taken control of Brother Mark I and repurposed it from monitoring metahumans to instead hunting them down. And even though at the time this is something that seemed to have been resolved, like initially with the death of Maxwell Lord, but even after, the OMAC threat was something that continued to come back in other iterations not long after. But this time around, the thing that Batman says is going to be different is that instead of him running it by himself, that this is something that all the heroes will be working on together, or working with together. Which even still, when you think about it, it's something that could go either way. Because with the more people who have access to a certain software, the more room there is for breaches. But when they go back to the Hall of Justice to speak with Commissioner Gordon for a short while, and really more so just to get more information out of him, and it's here that Gordon gives them the warning that if they continue to try to look and turn over every rock, that they will find more answers, but not necessarily answers that they'll like. But also I want to say, like, when they leave Gordon here, like going back to this point on the Batman Superman playlist, that this connects into what we talked about with Hell Arisen, with Luthor finding Commissioner Gordon inside the Hall of Justice. But of course, in Hell Arisen, some time has passed since he's been there, to where it's probably been weeks before he gets that visit from Lex Luthor. But in addition to this, we then jump over to Ra's al Ghul, who's approached by what at first appears to be a mysterious figure, who lets him know that he originally asked for something that he could have just taken. And at this point in time, that same mysterious figure, he tells Ra's al Ghul that if he doesn't want to negotiate, then he'll just take it. And as it turns out, it's General Zod, who's come here to tell Ra's al Ghul that he's come for the Lazarus Pits and he's not taking no as an answer. which of course looks like it's setting up Ra's al Ghul versus Zod in a very Batman v Superman type of way, which I would very much like to see, especially to the point of where these two contrast from Batman and Superman, because I truly believe that either one of these guys will be going for the kill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Real quick, just want to give a shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for supporting the page, and if you'd like more information on how to join, I got links down in the description, patreon.com/DopeSpill, so you can head over there for more details. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like, do you think the hero's taking this route like it's gonna work out this time? And aside from that, let me know who you guys got in the matchup between Ra's al Ghul and General Zod. But let me know in the comments below, and we'll do it again in the next one. Alright, later.